Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
1, 2, 3.
This is The Ticket High School Saturday.
Well done, well done, well done.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Let's go 3-0 and let's come sit down and drink some Gatorade.
Live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studio. Here is your host, Nick Sainert.
Good morning, folks. Happy Saturday. This is the High School Saturday Show here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. The High School Saturday Show is brought to you by Ambition Electric, providing quality and reliable electrical work for nearly 20 years. Contact our good friend Joe Davis for any of your electrical needs at 402-217-3415. It's been an exciting couple days in high school sports. Today, just about 10 or 15 minutes ago, the official pairings for the bracket in terms of postseason play just got released. So we will be breaking that down. We'll be joined by our normal guest, as always. Joe Davis of Ambition Electric will join us here shortly. We also, he was out at Norris for a 3 overtime thriller between Waverly and Norris. So they had a classic of a game that ended on a, I believe, 18-yard field goal in terms of, or in favor of Waverly to take that one. It was number 6 Waverly against Norris, and Waverly prevailed. So we'll talk about that with Joe a little bit since he was out there. Happer called a couple games this week, including Omaha Central at Lincoln Southwest on Thursday, and he also called Creighton Prep and Lincoln East on Friday. Folks, I'm telling you this right now. So I went out to Creighton Prep last night because I thought it was going to be a much more competitive game than it was. But give credit to Creighton Prep as they really showed how strong their defense is. And I was actually hanging out with Luke last night while Luke Mullen of Prep Extra that we usually talk to every Saturday. And we were standing there saying, man, Prep might be one of the best defenses in the state, as they held an Lincoln East offense that is known for scoring the football at insane amounts and at an insane rate as well. And they shut him out in the first half, which is something that, I mean, at halftime, I was talking to Happer and I was talking to Luke and Jacob Bigelow was also there and Jacob Padilla. And we were all sitting there like, Creighton Prep held Lincoln East to 44 total yards on offense or passing yards for one of the state's best quarterbacks on Saturday. And I was like, holy cow, this is wild. Like Lincoln East, it was probably the best defensive front that Lincoln East had faced all season in terms of especially the defensive line. They got quite a bit of pressure on Noah Walters, and no matter how good Noah Walters is at quarterback, who he actually did throw his 39th touchdown pass of the season last night, no matter how good he is, he needs time to throw just like any other quarterback. And so in terms of guys, Lincoln East, just their offense having a tough time scoring the football, I don't necessarily expect that to continue, but that just showed, number one, we've talked about it a little bit, and I don't necessarily want to dig it up again. Just kind of the gap that's between Lincoln and Omaha I suppose, but also just Lincoln East is really going to have to rely on their defense to pick up some of the slack and really slow down some of these high-powered offense from the Omaha teams that they're going to face in the playoffs next week. They're going to have Lincoln East. Let's go ahead and start talking about that. I guess before we do, we'll take a phone call here on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. As always, 402-464-5685. You can chime in on the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line as well. Both those are open for you. In addition to the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. We have already had some comments on there from our Twitch stream as well. We'll throw any of those up there. Let us know who you want to shout out, who you want to talk about. What games did you see last night? Because obviously we're only able to be stretched out so far. I can only read so many articles. And so I might not get some of those smaller schools that still deserve the praise. So let me know and I will do my best to give them their time on the air, and we'll go from there. All right, we're joined by on the Honda of Lincoln hotline by somebody. Caller, who's this?
Dominic, how you doing today?
Good, Dominique. What's up?
All right.
What
Chill, listen to music.
What's up?
Just chill, listen to music.
No, it is not, man. Sorry about that. All right, we're gonna let Dominique go there, as I think he was mistaken on what station he was calling into, but that's all right. So let's go ahead and start here. The NSAA Class A football pairing playoff bracket. They were just announced here a little bit ago. Number 1 seed in Class A, Millard South. So actually last night, I have to admit, so right after prep came out at halftime, held Lincoln East to a punt. They actually returned the first punt of the second half back for a touchdown to extend their lead to 38-0. I actually drove because since I was up in Omaha. There were some other games going on that I was thinking about going to instead. And at the time, Millard South, who is undefeated on the year, was playing Omaha Burke. And so I drove 9 minutes down the road to Millard South High School, where Husker defensive coordinator Eric Shenander was last night. There were quite a few coaches out on the road recruiting, whether that was around the state. Like I said, Eric Shenander, there were a couple players there as well. Scott Frost and Mike Dawson were at the Lincoln Southeast Elkhorn South game that we'll dive into a little bit later on in the show, watching commit Jake Applegate, Gunnar Gatula, along with some prospects called by the name of Tatum Tuioti and a couple others there as well. All right, let's start here. Let's go ahead and start with the Creighton Prep game against Lincoln East. We'll put our bow on that. Happer called it, so you'll hear some of the highlights from his call and everything like that. All right, so Creighton Prep beats Lincoln East 52-7 at home. Heading into this one, like I said, I didn't think it would be a big margin between these two teams. You knew Creighton Prep's defense was talented, but there are talks, and rightfully so, that when you're talking about passing the football, Lincoln East may be as best as it's been for a football team in the state in the last couple of years. No doubt about the team being one of the best in Lincoln, but we're talking here the state. Creighton Prep held Noah Walters, who is perhaps the state's best passing quarterback this year, to 44 yards in the first half, 0 touchdown passes. I believe they forced an interception as well in that first half, and it's the same recipe every game for every team, right? It's play strong defense, or force some turnovers, force the opponent to do something that they're not used to doing. And for Lincoln East, that's not being able to move the ball and committing turnovers, right? Especially for the quarterback, Noah Walters. Creighton Prep, they really showed that defense is one of the best in the state, and they'll really rely on that defense here come postseason time. Who, looking ahead, Creighton Prep is number 6 in the state. They will host Grand Island next Friday night. With that being said, for Creighton Prep, give loads of credit to running back Jack Stessman. After their starter, Brown, got hurt on the first play of scrimmage, it really looked like this game could have swung in Lincoln East's favor, and it was pretty dangerous. But like I said, Sharmar Brown got hurt. We're going to have Joe Davis here in a second. But like I said, Sharmar Brown got hurt on the first play from scrimmage, and then Stessman came in, chalked up 4 scores on the ground for touchdowns to really put the Junior Jays in front. Like I said earlier, Malachi Coleman, probably one of the better playmakers on Lincoln East's team. He still played well on the defensive side, despite the Spartans giving up all those points. Malachi Coleman still played really, really well on the defensive side. He's extremely quick. Luke Mullen and I were sitting there talking about him, and we both agreed that he could probably add 10, 15 pounds of weight to his frame if he was playing defense at the next level. But in terms of wide receiver, he's as good as they come. He plays and fills out well. Let's go ahead and get to a couple of our Happer highlights before we get to Joe Davis to break down the Norris and Waverly game. Like I said, Waverly gets a big win on the road at Norris. But first, here are some of the Happer highlights from last night's game between Creighton Prep and Lincoln East.
Macklin scores into the end zone. He had to beat one man right at about the goal line, and Jack Stessman punches it in from 7 yards up. Prep has the early lead. Out of the pistol, it's Piernicki. Handoff. This is Stessman straight through the pile and untouched. Scored. Jack Stessman from 23 yards out, and Creighton Prep leads at 27-0. Here's the punt, returnable at the 38-yard line, and here comes Johnson. Johnson has some room to run, and he's inside the 30-yard line. Nobody in front of him. Punt return for a touchdown for Pierce Johnson. A 62-yard return and a score, and Prep leads it 37-0. Looking for more. That's a 3rd and 18, pretty easily converted there. Stessman, wow, leaving everybody in the dust, scoring. Stessman left a path of Lincoln East defenders on the ground. Stessman scores his 4th touchdown of the night from 20 yards out, and it is 44-0. They go under center, I formation. Turn around, hand it off. This is Joppa. He scores. The Creighton Prep sideline going crazy. Andrew Joppa scores a touchdown, and that is a great senior night moment there. Should be the final play. 20 seconds left. Walters, shotgun snap. Now throws toward the end zone, up for Cooper Erickson, and a touchdown. Prep defender wanted a pass interference. But Cooper Erickson has a touchdown from 15 yards out. The clock's going to expire. Walters has his 39th touchdown pass of the year.
So that was Noah Walters' 39th touchdown pass of the year. Cooper Erickson hauled in his 12th receiving touchdown on the year as well. Like I said earlier, we'll put a bow on this one. Creighton Prep dominates Lincoln East 52-7. All right, let's switch gears to Class B. We are now joined by Joe Davis, our good friend. Joe, how are you doing on this Saturday?
Oh, not too bad, Nick. How are you today?
Not too bad. I'm excited for the playoffs next week. There's a couple good matchups, including your guys' matchup. But first, before we jump ahead to the playoffs, I want to know, talk about, in your eyes, what you saw last night, because I think I made a mistake trying to go out to Creighton Prep and East instead of going to Waverly Norris.
Well, it was senior night, so the boys came out all fired up. Couldn't move the ball first drive, and then Waverly marched down the field, just running the ball basically up the middle and a little bit to the outside. And they ended up putting 7 on the board, and we ended up marching down the next drive with short field. Thanks to our special teams, Consbrook, he had a nice run back on the kickoff and tied it up 7-7, and then it was all Norris, basically all the second quarter. And I think we had a pick 6, and we put up, it was 28-7 with a couple minutes left, and we kicked off, and we really returned one for 7, and we went into halftime 28-14 and came out and we were flat. So same thing, different week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Waverly had a good game plan second half. You know, they exposed some more weaknesses we had, and it was a rough night for Cooper Hausman last night. He just off, you know. He had a couple nice touches, you know, passes, and but for most part it was pretty rough throwing the ball.
Yeah, we're talking to Joe Davis. He was out at Norris and Waverly last night watching Waverly beat the Titans 52-49 in a triple overtime thriller. Joe, I guess despite them coming out flat, I mean, obviously I was out there last week for their game against Pius. They came out flat in the second half. Despite coming out flat the last couple of weeks, they still have showed a good amount of toughness and resiliency, especially once you get later into the ball game. How much confidence do you have in these guys, just in this team's toughness and resiliency, I suppose, heading into the playoffs? Because now you're sitting here, I don't know if you've seen it, Norris is the 11 seed in Class B. They'll have to go on the road to Omaha Skutt in next Friday. So, I mean, how much confidence do you have in the Titans going into next week?
I'm full of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said, I love this team. This team has all kinds of heart, all kinds of grit, and when they can get after it and play ball, they can't be beat. Last night, our defense and the score doesn't show it, but our defense and our special teams kept us in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Our offense was pretty stagnant. Waverly had our number. I mean, they've got Trevor Brown.
Yes,
he's smaller than I thought he was going to be, but he's fast. He's strong and he's fast, and he kind of had his way with our linemen. They move him around. Sometimes he's an outside defensive tackle, sometimes he's nose tackle, and they bounce him around. And on offense, he kind of has his way with our D line. It's size. Norris doesn't have the size; they never really have, and they just have to find ways to win. And I mean, officiating last night kind of cost us some. I mean,
okay.
It was very questionable. I might sound biased because I am a Norris fan, but when you have a lineman going up against a bigger lineman, you get called for a chop block that was just a crab block, and that slows you down. Obviously, it takes you back 10 yards or whatever. Or you get offensive pass interference that's not called that should be, and that was the one that tied up the game there in the fourth quarter. But we've got to overcome those. I mean, officiating is going to, I'd like to say it goes both ways, but fans are biased, based off who they root for. But,
yeah, absolutely. I guess you mentioned a couple minutes ago, right when you came on, talking about last night, that Waverly exposed some of Norris's weaknesses. What are a couple of those? Because obviously, and if you talk to anybody that kind of watches football, friction plays a big part of who you are and how you overcome that friction and the adversity. So what are a couple things that Norris exposed for Waverly last night, like those weaknesses that they're going to have to overcome if they want to make a run in the Class B playoffs, which is quite jumbled? It seems like each year there are multiple teams that could come out of it.
Well, Waverly has, they're a pretty stout team. Their weakness is the outside run. We could run on the outside all night long, and they couldn't match our speed. Mm-hmm. But just getting to the outside is a challenge because their D-line's so quick. As far as Norris's weaknesses, it's the line. It's smaller guys. Coach Twirling has utilized speed more than size, because that's how the offense is ran. Oh, and he likes defensive line that can move and get to the outside fast, rather than getting up the middle. So a lot of teams have utilized the small line, and they've been able to run right up the middle, such as Bennington and Waverly and Beatrice. They just pound it. They play the old Nebraska football, and that's a sacrifice you make, being fast or being big. We have small corners and safety, but they're fast and they have some ups. So we've been able to pick some balls off this year, and I hope we're winning turnover margin, but it's hard to say, just because there's so many what's the word, negating factors.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. I totally makes sense. What are a couple players? So last week when I was out there, I really was impressed with Blake Macklin, and he had another good game last night. He's a smaller running back, but he really can move, and he finds those little holes that he can fit through, and he's pretty shifty as it comes to smaller town running backs, if that makes sense. So I guess Blake Macklin last night had 3 touchdowns in the first half, had over 100 yards in the first half. How exciting and how fun of a player is it to watch Blake Macklin week in and week out?
He's phenomenal. That kid, he he has great vision. I mean, he can see, holes before they even open up. And you think, he's going through a small hole, he's going to get 2 yards, and he ends up breaking for a 57-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
The kid is phenomenal, and he's a rubber band. I mean, no matter how hard he gets hit, how many times he gets hit, he gets back up. He's something else to watch. I mean, he's not just fast, he's limber, he's his vision's phenomenal. It's crazy watching him. I wish he got more touches.
I hear you. I will ask this, since he was banged up when I saw him. I don't know if he returned. How's Ben Landgren holding up? Was he able to get some time last night?
Yeah, he played both sides of the ball.
Cool.
I think they limited him a little bit, give him a little bit more recovery time getting into playoffs.
Absolutely.
He had a couple tackles on defense, and he carried the ball a few times on offense. Probably dropped a couple passes that weren't, that weren't on the money, but he's coming along. I'm hoping by next Friday, when we go to Scott, that he's closer to 100% and he can make a bigger impact.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just was curious, since I knew he was banged up last Friday, or got banged up last Friday, I should say. I will ask this last one before we let you go here, and we have to take a break here in a couple minutes. Going into the playoffs, Joe, what's your message to Norris and the football team and the fans?
Head up, eyes up. We're going to go in the Scott. We're going to be loud. I mean, these fans are loud all year. It doesn't matter what the score is. These fans are behind these players 100%. We have 17 seniors, I think, on the team that don't want to go out with a loss. And last night, home field, senior night, they end up, having their heads lowered at the end of the game just because things didn't go their way. They need to keep them heads up and keep focused. Winning the normal season isn't the prize. It's winning the postseason.
Exactly. That makes sense, Joe. I appreciate the time as always, Joe. Good luck. Enjoy the bye week. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
I do have a couple shout outs, Nick.
Oh, perfect. Go ahead.
Boys cross country took third in state yesterday, and girls cross country are your cross country champions this year.
And your volleyball, Norris volleyball is having their best season since 2014.
Yeah, they're having a phenomenal season. Softball ended. They didn't quite finish the way they wanted to, but from where they started, they ended up pretty well. So yeah, it's been a good year for Norris sports. And from a dad's side, I got to give a shout out to my kid. He's not getting the playing time he wants. He's had a lot of letdowns. Anybody that's listened to the show regularly, he's come a long way, and he's not letting anything get him down. He's still putting in the work. So I got to give a shout out to Hunter.
Good stuff there, Joe. I appreciate it. As always, we'll talk to you down the road, man.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. That is Joe Davis of Ambition Electric. He was out at Waverly Norris last night in that triple overtime thriller between where Waverly knocked off Norris 52-49 on an 18-yard field goal by Waverly's kicker Devin Moore. Blake Macklin, like I mentioned, had 3 touchdowns in the first half along with 103 yards in the first half. So good performance by number 20, Blake Macklin, in red there. All right. Before we get to break, we get this comment on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream off of YouTube. Peter says Aurora's sitting in a good spot. Peter, you're absolutely correct. Aurora, they dominated Seward last night, 50-14. Aurora is the 2nd seed in the Class B football playoff bracket. They have a first-round matchup against 4-5 Lexington. One interesting team here, folks, is Beatrice. Beatrice earlier in the season, if you remember correctly, they started out 6-0, but now they're sitting at 6-3. They had a little bit of a tough schedule on the back end, and Beatrice fell all the way from possibly playing for that top seed overall in Class B to number 10. They have a first-round matchup on the road at Scotts Bluff, who is the 7th seed. Couple other interesting ones of note. Waverly comes in at number 8. Seward, number 5 seed in the Class B playoff, and your number 1 seed in Class B, number 1 Bennington, comes in at 9-0. The defending champion Elkhorn Antlers are at 8-1 on the record books, and come in ranked 4th in Class B. All right, let's go and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Luke Mullen of Prep Extra at the Lincoln Journal-Star. He was out at Creighton Prep in Lincoln East. We'll ask him about that. We'll ask him about a couple other games going on around the state that happened last night and Thursday. And then we'll also look ahead. We'll do a lot of looking ahead to the playoffs as he has seen and had time to kind of digest the brackets and pick out a good couple games that are of interest to him. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll be joined by Luke Mullen of Prep Extra here on the High School Saturday Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God! Ow!
Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
Tailgating wasn't just meant for weekends. Join 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday at Chick-fil-A for Tailgate Tuesdays. Scan your app with any purchase on Tuesdays and you'll be entered to win a tailgate meal for 15 people. That's chicken nuggets, fresh fruit, and iced tea or lemonade. Winners will be contacted each Wednesday, and you can come see Tom and Bach from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the 48th and O location or at South Point each week. It's Tailgate Tuesdays all season long at Chick-fil-A in Lincoln.
And now more Straight Talk from Straight Talk. The big wireless companies say they're the only way to get the best coverage.
Because they've got like a cajillion cell towers?
Something like that. But Straight Talk Wireless runs on those same towers, so you get the same great networks for up to 50% less.
I wonder if they're counting that one in Kickapoo, Kansas.
Oh boy. Switch today and get our unlimited plan for just $45 a month with 25 gigs at high speeds and no contract. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See straighttalk.com.
Allstate now has deeper savings, and deeper savings require deep thoughts and a deep voice, like mine. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise, and save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. As someone once said, saving today is money tomorrow. That's deep.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket. Join the whole Ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at Tipsy Tina's in the Haymarket, sponsored by Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, Tractor Supply Distribution Center, T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Planet Fitness, Barnwood and Leather, and Vitalize Health.
Gary Michaels Clothier's 38th anniversary sale is happening now. Our entire new fall inventory will be marked 20 to 50% off. Suits, sport coats, sweaters, sports shirts, shoes, and outerwear all 20 to 50% off. Famous brand names like Marcello, St. Croix, Bobby Jones, Byron, Monterizari, and Jack Victor, all now 20 to 50% off. Don't miss Gary Michaels Clothier's 38th anniversary sale and come see us in our new location in Village Gardens, south of 56th and Pine Lake Road. You'll be there.
The Ticket High School Saturday on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, folks. This is the High School Saturday Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by Ambition Electric. Call Joe Davis for any of your electrical needs. Also visit their website. As always, you are welcome to chime in on the Starter Heyman text line, the Honda of Lincoln hotline. 402-464-5685 is the number there. We've had quite a few comments. Shout out to you guys on the video stream. How far, or how we're getting lots of questions, lots of comments on there from YouTube. We have Crya Film says Waverly will knock off 1 seed Bennington. Watch for it. Interesting. We have Punch Your Ticket Sports Talks asks, how far does Gretna go? I guess let's go ahead and start there. We are joined on the Honda of Lincoln hotline by Luke Mullen of Prep Extra. He was out at Creighton Prep in Lincoln East last night. We were hanging out there a little bit. But first, we get this question, Luke. First of all, how are you doing, Luke?
I'm doing great. Yeah, good to see you last night, Nick. Not the greatest game, but always nice to see you out there at the action.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we get this question off of our video stream from a listener that asks, how far will Gretna go? They have a interesting and intriguing first-round matchup against that Lincoln East team that we got to see last night that we don't necessarily see. We're not used to seeing their offense go dormant like that. So I guess let's go ahead and answer that question for the listener. How far do you think Gretna goes with Zane Flores at quarterback?
Well, first things first, I got to say Lincoln East is going to be praising their luck to the high heavens. The tiebreakers came down to a coin flip there in Class A, tied with Grand Island in wild card points. So if the flip goes their way, they could have played Prep 2 weeks in a row, which would have been pretty brutal. You know, after getting blown out, it'd be hard to see how they could come around and, you know, win that one, completely flip how it changed. So getting Gretna, a team that's a little bit more stylistically like them, is going to be a big bonus for Lincoln East. And in terms of Gretna, you know, I got to watch them against Southeast a couple of weeks ago. And they have some really big kids there on defense, some big playmakers along that defensive line. You know, obviously Flores, that high-powered offense is going to kind of be what'll kind of get them down the road. But, you know, honestly, it's a pretty tough path for Gretna. They got Elkhorn South there, you know, maybe in the second round if they can get past East, you know, the team that beat them too. So it's not an easy path for Gretna for sure, but I think both them and Lincoln East will be pretty happy to play each other, you know, with the knowledge that they're kind of similarly built. You know, their defense has been practicing against that caliber quarterback.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the other Lincoln school, Lincoln Southeast. They lost last night to Elkhorn South 21-10. Here in Lincoln, Scott Frost, Mike Dawson were in attendance for that. Watching a couple of their commits, Applegate, Gatula, and then some targets in Tatum Tuioti as well. Lincoln Southeast came into this one with a 5-3 record, basically playing for their playoff season, as you know. Elkhorn South, they're now 8-1 on the year. Explain what Lincoln Southeast path is for the playoffs and how much confidence do you have in them, since they've dropped to 5-4 and they've lost 4 of their last 6. So I guess how much confidence and how excited are you to watch Lincoln Southeast in the playoffs?
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, you kind of compare Lincoln East and Southeast naturally. You know, they played each other, top 2 teams in Lincoln. So it's like, okay, you know, how does Southeast have one more loss? You know, they lost to Lincoln East and they're still higher seeded. Well, they just played a much tougher schedule over the course of the entire season. You know, I think they've really been tested. They've had some struggles on offense, a little bit up and down, some inconsistency there. But I think also they will be feeling pretty good about that first round matchup with Burke. They got a pretty good quarterback up there, Cooper Katsky. But at the same time, you know, Burke, none of their opponents that they've beaten have had a winning record, which is not the case for Southeast. They beat Grand Island, which is a pretty good playoff team in their own right too. So, for Southeast, it really just comes down to, are they going to be able to get that offense rolling, put up a couple touchdowns? They definitely have the defense to make a playoff run. As you know, this cold weather, you get some bad weather conditions and suddenly defense becomes all that much more important. So yeah, that matchup against Burke, I think it'll be a good one for Southeast. And, it just comes down to that offense because the defense is going to show up. They did against Elkhorn South last night. So they'll keep that up in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned Omaha Burke. They had a tough matchup last night against Millard South, who really opened my eyes. They didn't have Stegner, the Husker commit either. He was not playing last night. However, they sort of rolled over Omaha Burke, and I know you know this, but I left the prep game a little early to go to the Millard South and Burke game to kind of watch the final couple quarters of that. And Millard South is really opened my eyes to how complete of a team they are, especially when you can dominate a team like Omaha Burke, who is now the 7th best team in Class A according to the playoff bracket, and you're able to dominate them on both sides of the football without one of your best players on defense. How complete of a team and how dangerous is Millard South coming into the playoffs?
Yeah, no, I mean they're pretty much as good as it gets with all the talent they have all over the ball. And I would say there's kind of a little bit of a gap between those top 3 teams in Class A, Millard South, Bell West, and West Side. West Side playing a little bit easier schedule, not having as hard of a test, but still, defending champs, 9-0. You got to put them up there with those title contenders. So I think those 3 teams are really who you're going to be looking at as having that state title potential. Obviously the bracket can shake out in any way, but just the talent level at Millard South, the amount of Division I commits at Bell West, and just the consistency at West Side, those 3 things, having over the course of the season, winning, it just kind of snowballs going into the playoffs. So I think all 3 of those teams are definitely going to be ones to watch, but Millard South definitely stands out with some of those guys that play both ways too.
There's a possibility of an intriguing matchup in round 2 between Millard South and North Platte. North Platte go through Columbus. That's an 8-9 game. But North Platte, I feel like, is somewhat of not a sleeper necessarily, but they can really control the pace of play with their running back and their running attack. They don't pass the ball very much. Caleb Tonkinson, they don't ask him to throw the football very often. So how is that a possibility that we could see a pretty intriguing matchup there if Millard South and both Millard South and North Platte win their first round matchup?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The whole season I've been pretty impressed with North Platte. They've pretty much played close games every time out, with the exception of a pretty big loss to Kearney, which was their first loss of the year. But they played prep close, a lot closer than a couple teams. And, they're coming off a loss to Columbus this last week. So, I mentioned East wouldn't want to play prep 2 weeks in a row. Well, that's because they've got blown out. Usually coaches don't like to play the same team 2 weeks in a row when it's close, because it's just hard to kind of get those same margins, like the same things that went right.
Yep.
The other team can make adjustments. So I think North Platte is going to come out fired up in that first round matchup and probably put up a pretty good win there. And so definitely going to take some momentum, I would think, into second week of the playoffs. And they got a pretty solid defense. Some weeks they've been torched a little bit. Other weeks they've shown up a little bit more. But they got some really good linebackers. And if they could manage to kind of, make it a tight game going into halftime, that rushing attack would definitely make a big difference in the second half for them.
We're talking to Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Luke, let's go ahead and before we get to Class B, let's go ahead and talk about that Creighton Prep and Lincoln East game. I know if there are any Spartan fans listening, they probably don't want to talk about it anymore. But for everybody else, give a breakdown of what you saw. How did Prep dominate on both sides of the ball? So it seemed like so effortlessly last night.
Yeah. So, for me, really one of the most underrated parts of Lincoln East this whole season has been their offensive line. They got a couple kids with real good size, but it's not the biggest line you'll ever see, but pretty good technique. Always giving Walters the time he needs in the pocket, which, a quarterback of his caliber, he can get the ball out quick, depending on the play. But a lot of Lincoln East's most successful plays comes from, him having 4 or 5 seconds in the pocket, going through a couple of reads, letting those speedy receivers get down the field. So, they run into a prep team that probably has all the kids on their defensive line are like 6'2". They're bully rushing every play, with the knowledge that East is not trying to run the ball very much. So that prep D line just pushed the line of scrimmage back a couple yards, really made it tough for Walters to spend any time in the pocket. So he was trying to get the ball out quick, led to quite a few drop passes, just some miscues all over. And then defensively, it was just the case, Prep has that rushing attack. Everybody knows it's what they're going to face. I don't think they threw the ball more than 5 times, but they just get those downhill runs. It keeps going, and you start breathing a little heavier. And that tough start, they're up 14-0 about 6-7 minutes into the game, and that was just too much for East to come back from.
Yeah, give credit to Jack Stessman, the prep running back, for scoring 4 times on the ground with their starter out on the first play from scrimmage. All right, let's go to Class B real quickly here before we have to let you go. What's a matchup in Class B that you're looking at? Because normally we're used to Class B kind of being this mess of teams that are kind of just thrown in there. Yeah, wild card points kind of sort them all out. But at the end of the day, anybody, there's usually about 5 or 6 teams in Class B that you could say there's a chance, there's a path there for them to make some noise come playoff time. What are a couple of the matchups? What are a couple of the teams? Why should fans watch those specific teams? Give us the breakdown on Class B.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at the top half of the bracket there. You got number 1 Bennington, who has just looked every bit the part of a state title winning team. No matter who they've gone up against, they've played a lot of the best teams in Class B, but their offense, they've got some great kids on defense, so they have to be title favorites, no doubt about it. But then you look at who they might play second round, and it's either number 9 Northwest or number 8 Waverly. And geez, both those teams are great top 10 opponents. I really like Northwest quarterback Sam Hartman. You got Waverly, who always has a top defense. I know you talked to Joe Davis about that thriller they had over Norris too. So, just how good Waverly is too. They have 3 losses, but they're a team who's easily, in my opinion, one of the top 5 title contenders in Class B as well. So I think whoever emerges out of that top half is going to be one to watch there in Class B. And then, I think you mentioned it, that 7-10 Scottsbluff Beatrice, Aurora is looking there at the number 2 seed. I think they're going to be expecting a pretty tough matchup there too. Scottsbluff and Beatrice, both those teams with great rushing attacks. I think could be a little bit of an upset alert for Aurora there. That's going to be a tough matchup for them too.
Let's go back to Class A then. What's an upset there? I like that idea. What are a couple of the possible upsets in Class A?
Yeah, well, I think, it's a little bit tough because Elkhorn South beat Kearney, I think 21-7 a couple of weeks ago. But, Kearney there at the number 13 seed, 4-5, you just look at that and you're like, that doesn't jump off the page to you, but they've played a really tough schedule. And, they showed it in the playoffs last year too. They can make a little magic happen. So I think, with the ability to make adjustments from a couple of weeks ago, Elkhorn South, great team in their own right, but a little bit dinged up in that Southeast game, missing some of their top offensive players. So for me, that would be the one to kind of watch, as Kearney might be able to make something big happen there.
Yeah, that would be huge, a 13-4, and whoever comes out of that Gretna and Lincoln East game, I'm sure would appreciate that if Kearney can knock off Elkhorn South there. All right, before we have to let you go, let's go ahead and go to C1 real quick, because I know you've been able to watch a little bit of C1 and write a little bit about it as well. Ashland Greenwood comes in at 9-0, number 1 overall in Class C1. Number 2, Kearney Catholic, the home of good old Heinrich Harburg and Matt Masker, is at number 2, also undefeated. How much separation do the top couple teams in Class C1? Because you have teams at 9-0, you have a couple at 8-1, 7-2. The number 13 seed is 7-2. How much separation is there in Class C1? What are a couple teams to watch for?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident in saying I think any of the 16 teams in C1 honestly could make a run all the way.
Wow.
Like just the level of competition all year. has just been tremendous. You know, you've got quite a few teams going home at 5-4, you know, really teams over 500 that have shown up and played some great football. So C1 is going to be just an absolute battle the whole way. And you have to look at the top to kind of see that happen right away. You got Ashland Greenwood. They've been number one for quite a few weeks now, are really deserving number one, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And who are they rewarded with? Last year's runner-up, Adams Central, in week one, and then maybe last year's state champion, Pearson, round two.
Jeez.
So that's pretty brutal for them. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Luke, one more before we let you go here. Have you decided where you're going to go next week?
Yeah, no, I have not. I'll have to see what the times shake out, but I'm going to imagine I'm going to go to that Lincoln East Gretna matchup. You know, the level of quarterbacking on display there, I think you'll be hard-pressed to find a better matchup of quarterbacks all year.
Yeah, it'll be a good matchup between Zane Flores in Gretna and Noah Walters, obviously with his 39 touchdown passes on the season. Luke, always good to talk to you. Always good to get your insight. We appreciate the time. I'll probably see you somewhere next week on the high school football landscape, and then we'll talk to you next Saturday right here at 9:30.
Sounds good, Nick. Thanks for having me. And yeah, super excited for the playoffs, see how it shakes out.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Luke. That is Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star, giving us the breakdown on everything. He really knows a lot more than I do, so that's why I like to bring him in. And he just, I mean, that's his job. He breaks it down, writes about it. He has really good articles there on Prep Extra, so go check those out. All right, let's take our final time out. In the volleyball, high school volleyball, we'll break that down in a second. Like I mentioned, Norris is having their best season in terms of record since 2014, 2015. They're at 29-2. And then there was a hack championship decided on Thursday between Lincoln Southwest and Pius X. All right, let's take our final time out. We'll wrap up the high school Saturday show next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What are you doing, Sip?
I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives.
So you're building what exactly?
It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh.
Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Of course. Ow! God! Ow!
Seems like a job for a professional.
Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there.
Don't be like Sip. Call Joe and Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Last thing before break, guys, it's getting darker and colder outside every day. That means your time playing golf, tennis, whatever you do outside is getting limited, but you can always find things to do inside, including craft axe throwing in Lincoln. They're open 7 days a week from 4 to 9 p.m. on Monday through Thursday, from noon to 11 on Friday, Saturday, and from noon to 9 on Sunday. Parties and events are welcome anytime. For more information, call them at 402-802-9696 or go to craftaxethrowing.com. That's Craft Axe Throwing, 18th and N in Lincoln.
Brokers Insurance Agency is currently hiring full-time and part-time insurance professionals. They will provide you with the training and education to obtain your insurance licenses. Brokers Insurance Agency takes pride in educating clients with the best insurance program to help their clients meet their specific goals. If you're a hardworking, motivated person and would like to discuss a great career opportunity with Brokers Insurance Agency, please call Ken Richards at 402-420-5353 or email service@brokersinsuranceagencyne.com. The team at Brokers Insurance Agency is looking forward to helping you get started with your insurance career.
Mike Shaver here for Trek CBD. There's a lot of CBD shops opening up in Lincoln, but Trek CBD focuses on quality above all else. Their products are from local CBD company Nico Farms and are third-party laboratory tested. They have products that can help with stress, anxiety, pain, relief, and more, and have a wide selection of Delta 8, including Serene 8. Trek CBD is locally owned and operated. Go visit Scott or Shannon at their 84th and Highway 2 location or at 27th and S, or go online to Trek CBD with free delivery. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
So Planet Fitness is only $10 a month with no commitment. Pretty sweet. That's $10 a month to be in a thumbs up emoji place. Yes, I just said thumbs up emoji. It means that you're in the judgment-free zone. That's $10 a month. Join in club or online at planetfitness.com. The world judges. We don't. Planet Fitness. Be free.
2 Lincoln locations, just east of 27th and Folkways and 48th and Van Dorn.
Annual membership fee applies. Participating locations only. See club for details.
The Ticket, High School Saturday on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Couple minutes left here on the Tickets High School Saturday show. Nick Sainert with you as we are every single Saturday, sponsored by Ambition Electric. Good stuff from Joe Davis, as always. Awesome stuff from Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star. We talk to them every Saturday. Once again, guys, find me on Twitter. Find me on the text line. Text in if you want to shout out a player, anything like that. We will take care of business that way. My Twitter is Nick_Sainert, SEHNERT. That's how you spell the last name there. Honda of Lincoln Hotline, 402-464-5685. They're open for you for another 2 minutes or so before we get out of here. I'm looking forward. It's a bye week. It's going to be a stressless Saturday. There's no Husker football to worry about. But remember, join us, the guys from the Ticket. We'll all be there at the Upside Bar and Lounge tonight from 5 to 7 p.m. There's free food. We talked to the Upside, one of the owners yesterday. They're having a taco bar, so it's free food, free jersey giveaways. There's going to be Huskers in attendance, Damian Daniels, D. Boogie, Derek Walker, Michael Caton, and others. Kobe Webster and CJ Wilcher will be doing their show from 6 to 7. DP will be on from 5 to 6. So make sure, come out, Upside Bar and Lounge, 27th and Pine Lake. Hope to see you guys there. All right, we got about 2 minutes left before we have to get out of here. Yeah, I'm super excited to actually watch that matchup between Zane Flores and Noah Walters, between Gretna and Lincoln East. That's a 5-12 matchup, but it feels like that could be a lot closer than what it says on paper. All right, real quick, Norris having their best season in volleyball since 2014-2015. They were 29-2 going into their matchup on Thursday. Their 2 losses, get this, they're not bad losses either. To Papillion La Vista South and Elkhorn North, both in a span of a week. So only 2 losses in a span of a week. Norris is first in Class B. Omaha Skutt comes in at second in Class B with a 24-8 record, while number 3 York is 22-9 on the year. On Thursday, so Happer did the Omaha Central and Lincoln Southwest high school football game. I went there for a little bit. Then I thought, you know what? I'll walk over to East High School and go to the Hack Championship between Southwest and Pius X. It's a matchup of two top 10 schools at the time. And I watched that one, and Lincoln Southwest swept Pius X to win the Hack Championship. So congratulations to the Silverhawks on their Hack win. All right, that'll do it for all of us today. A couple other scores real quickly. Bellevue West dominated Lincoln High 48-6. Shout out to Jeremy for always giving our Bellevue West report there. LJ Richardson, the Wyoming commit, 15 carries, 184 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Oklahoma commit Caden Helms, 2 catches, 36 yards, and a score. Lincoln High falls to Bellevue West 48-6. A couple other scores. Elkhorn South 21-10 over Lincoln Southeast. Omaha Central lost 24-20 to Lincoln Southwest on Thursday. That's it for us. See you at the Upside Bar and Lounge at 5 tonight. Have a good weekend.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you